working off of the governor's orders due to COVID. We're having a public meeting via Zoom. It's available through Grafton TV. I don't know if it's live, but it will be recorded. If people have questions or comments, we ask that you raise your hand. At each vote, we will have a roll call, so all votes will be recorded. I think everybody knows the drill on that, so thank you. Joanne, what's first on the agenda?
Whitney Park, raise
Whitney Park.
item. Yep.
Okay, Ray, the floor is yours.
Okay.
Point of order, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry, Ray.
You're right. I need to do the roll call. I just said
Yep.
that. And I completely rolled right over it. So sorry about that, Ray. Justin.
No problem.
I am here.
Sandy. John here. Paul. Ken.
Aye.
Kristen, I just saw.
Aye.
Jen is not here. Jim.
Aye.
And Brooke.
Here.
Okay. Thank you. And sorry about that, Ray. Go right ahead.
So I'm sure everybody knows that the Engine Company 2 Association did the project at Roney Park. It came out very successful. The place looks great. And now we're looking at a kind of a twofold project. I met with the Affordable Housing Committee about 3 weeks ago, I think, or maybe a little bit longer, concerning the Perry Hill Park. Now, the school was there in 1978. The CETA program, CETA, which was formed by the government, renovated that park into the lower level, which would have been a basketball court and an ice rink, which never ended up happening. Nobody ever flooded it. And now it's turned into a very, very small park up in an area where there are tons of apartments. So I went to the Affordable Housing Committee and I said to them, would you be interested in building affordable housing apartments on the Perry Hill site if I transfer the equipment that's there for the playground down to Whitney Park? I did some research on the piece of property. You can build about 12 apartments in an area where there's tons of apartments now. And because the entire Perry Hill Park, which is about 30, it's just under an acre. It doesn't get used except for that little spot on the top. And I know that at town meeting on Saturday, there's a warrant article to make it ADA accessible. So my proposal is, it's not really a proposal, it's just more of a thought right now. And I wanted to run it by you guys, is that I want to take Whitney Park, which is 1.15 acres, was deeded to the town back in the early 1900s, and turn it into a scaled down super park. And I really don't like using the word super park. The thought is that it would be a park that would be available for all the residents of town, not just kids. That there would be playground equipment, there would be a water feature, there would be a walking path with exercise stations, some type of pavilion that people could use, and also adding parking to the area. If you're not familiar with Whitney Park, the grass area that's there, it's right across from Station 2, and I don't know if everybody's familiar with it, but the grass area from right across from the North Grafton Fire Station is actually smaller than the deeded property that the town owns. So as you drive up Mill Street, there's a big area right there, and there's people park, and one of the businesses parks five of his trucks there. But that's also part of Whitney Park. So my plan is, and I just want to get feedback. My plan is that if you guys are in favor of this or whatever, and I know it's very preliminary, that I would like to put together a proposal and come back to the May town meeting for design funds, and then come back to the October town meeting for construction funds. And the project would start in the spring of 2022. And I know it sounds a long ways away, which it is, but these things take a long time to develop. So I'm looking for your response, for your reaction, for your thoughts, your ideas. Again, we were very successful with Roney Park, and we want to do it again. So I'm looking for reaction.
Just a clarification. Is this, it's a two-part proposal? The first part is
I'm
to
sorry,
make Perry.
I'm sorry, John. It's not, what I was trying to, I tried to give you like the brief history of it. The Affordable Housing Committee is very interested in that piece of property, Perry Hill Park.
Okay, so that's a project that the Affordable Housing Trust would
Correct.
assume. You're just working on the Whitney Park piece.
Correct. But I would
pieces.
take the equipment from Perry Hill Park and transfer it over to Whitney Park.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
there's existing equipment. There's not a lot of it, but
Mhm.
existing equipment, I would transfer that over there and include that into the design.
So that's the connection between the two.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the connection. Yeah.
Okay. I got a couple of hands. Justin, I believe I see.
Sure. So first thing for the committee, I do have the Google satellite view of that area that I'm willing to share if people want me to do so. But the other thing is, I just wanted to say out loud that based on what you described, Ray, I am very in favor of this. I like the whole idea of what was to be a super park as well. I was a little bit reticent on the proximity to the railroad for the old proposal and things along that nature. And I think that this location is far enough from the railroad and far enough away from majority of traffic that this would be a wonderful spot for it. And so I'm in major favor of that, as well as the idea that I love the concept of being able to provide our affordable housing trust with more space to do housing, and then the fact that this park will be right next to it as well is a extra benefit for that to me. So I'm a strong proponent of what you described.
Great.
Thank you. Justin, Jim.
I'd like to echo what Justin said. I certainly agree with him. Ray, I'm curious why you're referring to it as Whitney Park and not New England Village.
The New England Village is the entire area, which takes up the area where the old post office used to be, which used, the post office pub area, Washington Mills, the bridge. That is the New England Village. So the name of the park is Whitney Park. It's inside of New England Village.
So Whitney Park at New England Village.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
But yes, I echo Justin. I agree. I'd be a big component or propose, whatever the word is.
Justin,
Support.
can you share that map?
I gave you privilege, Justin. Well, not privilege, you know what I mean.
I'm sorry, Ray. Who's the organization that's sponsoring this?
It's Engine Company 2 Association. The same people that did the Roney Park.
Okay, so would the fundraising to build the park be coming from your group?
Yes.
Okay.
So let me explain now that Justin's put that up there. So This, between Overlook and Mill Street, it's the big grass area. It's really not maintained very well. Had quite a few trees on it, and in the past 6 or 7 years, the highway department has cut down a lot of trees. But if you can see on the right-hand side where those cars are parked, Whitney Park actually goes all the way down almost to that next set of, or that grassy area, which used to be the Second Baptist Church. So because the area has limited parking, I would propose parallel parking all the way around the park, and make the actual park a little bit smaller for more parking, and then put a parking lot down where those cars are, and you do some stuff like that. I mean, that's just preliminary. And then you can see the Perry Hill Park, where the actual park area at the top, and then the asphalted area at the bottom where the basketball court and ice rink was going to be. But that would turn into apartments. Now you can look in the entire area. The entire area is full of apartments. That's pretty much all there is there. There are some single family homes, but very, very few. Be a great spot, for a nice park.
Have you talked to the, it's not the Methodist church anymore, the church that's there? Because I think that's going to be one of the big, because at one time, Sargon Hannah had made some kind of a proposal to connect the park, Whitney Park, all the way over the dam to try to connect a walking trail. And there was pushback from the owners of Washington
Karate
Mills.
Church.
From
and
Washington
so,
Mills, you mean?
right, they didn't want that. And then another thing, which you can actually see, and I do remember this, they use that blacktop area, which is part of the park, to make a loop for their trucks. So the trucks come in on Mill Street and then take that diagonal up over to Overlook and go around. And I know at one of the meetings, because we've had all kinds of meetings about this for probably 10 or 15 years, that was one of the things that they had talked about. And I think when they tore down the karate church, that was also brought up, that they want access for their truck. So
yeah, I mean, again, this is very preliminary, and I think we would, the fire department needs spaces also with responding firefighters. So all of that would have to get worked out and everything like that. But again, this is preliminary. So
right. No, I agree. I think this is a great idea. I just want to make sure that the abutters, which the big abutters, because I think Washington Mills owns a lot of this, because we wanted to make this a National Register district, and they did not. And that was while Karate Church was still there. And so that the Mass Historical Commission said, then we cannot proceed. They own too much of the property for us to come in and say, we're going to do this. You have to have the stakeholders engaged and behind the project.
right.
So, I mean, so it's like, for me, I think it's a great idea too.
Well, I know at one point, and this was a long time ago, Washington Mills wanted to buy, they own everything up to Station 2.
Mm-hmm.
And past that, those are either two family or single family. I mean, there's Park Court is multifamily, and then there's 3 single family, 2 family houses there. They tried to buy all of that, and they couldn't buy it, and they wanted to move the fire station actually where the Second Baptist Church was.
Mm-hmm.
At one point a long time ago, and then just gave up on it. So yeah, no, I mean, it's a project not without challenges, but I think it's a win-win for the town to get affordable apartments and to take a park that's really nothing is done on that piece of property. To make it a useful piece of property, I think it'd be great.
Was the school where the blacktop is?
No, the
Um,
school was actually I went to school there in 5th and 6th grade. I don't want to tell you how old I am, but where the actual area of all the equipment, that was the school. The
Okay.
rest of it was the playground.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask Ray a question, Mr. Chairman?
Sure. Go ahead.
The apartments that you keep talking about with the trust, can you just lay out where they would be?
So they would run from Perry Street all the way to the back of that church. That's the piece of property. It's just under an acre. And there could be 12 affordable apartments there. Affordable Housing Committee was very interested in this.
Certainly fits in the neighborhood.
It does. It fits. It's a great fit, you know. And,
Go ahead. Sorry.
and we need, the town needs affordable housing. That's for sure.
I'm not real sure, the history, or I don't know the history of the Washington Mills wanting to move the fire station.
But that
But
was a long time ago.
is that something that, in terms of, is the fire department, would they feel like since the church is now gone, is that a better location for them? Would that provide them opportunities to be closer to 140? And then maybe there could be a swap, or some swap and some money to be able to give them that property, or to be able to get some access to put some parking on it. And, I don't know what the fire department, I think they would drive that conversation if they felt that was a better location for them.
Right. I don't think I personally don't think it's a better location for them.
Mhm.
That piece of property is very small where the church was. And all of these, the other stations, or Station 2, Station 3, those are going to require major renovations in the next 2 to 3 years. So building a new one I think would be, instead of spending $2 million renovating the place, you'd spend $5 million building a new one, and it's not worth doing that. So Washington Mills wanted to buy all of that. They ended up, they didn't.
Uh-huh. And you're pretty much landlocked because that cuts off. If you were to rebuild that fire station, that piece of property that you have right now is not adequate to do what you would want for a future fire station.
Yeah, no, the church property is not big enough. No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not big enough.
Anyone else have questions, comments? If you do, I can't see you. Speak up. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Jim?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, just to compliment Ray and the Station 2 Association, the job that you did on Roni, and continue to maintain it and things like that, and now coming forward for something else like this for the community. I think it's a wonderful fellowship that you have with this committee, and you've already shown that you can do the great work and use the resource well, and you have the talent, the knowledge, the skills, the abilities, and I think you're just to be congratulated for bringing forward a program like this.
I guess my recommendation would be, through Kristen, is to talk to Jen Anderson. I mean, I'm sure you've talked to her, but because you don't want to spend money to make that particular park handicap accessible, if you're going to move everything, and then to see what her sense is, how this would fit in with the recreation plan, and then to move forward together on that project for Whitney Park, because it's going to involve multiple players, I guess, to make that a reality.
Yeah,
I
no, I'm sorry. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I do know, in the past, we've looked at that property for using that location for recreational purposes, but I can't remember off the top of my head what the what the factor was that discouraged us from being able to move forward with that. So definitely have a conversation with Jen and she can give you any of that background. But I do think it's a good idea that that park isn't really utilized very much by very many people. So I do think it's a good idea that you're bringing forward if you can figure out how to make it work on that spot.
Another thing that Joanne maybe have access to that and the Historical Commission archives that have been moved around, we did have plans to redevelop that park that included a pavilion and other things. So if we can find those digital files, that would help you, not that you would be tied to them, but at least it would give you what somebody else has, we at least 10 years ago, Keith Regan was around at that time and helped with public meetings on that. But it seems like Ann Morgan had digitized a lot of things, and that might be on a flip drive or something. And
I have everything from Ann Morgan's laptop on my laptop, so I'll go through it, Ray.
Oh, great.
And see if I can find anything. I
Yeah,
can
if
also
you
reach
have-
out to Ann. She might
If you
something.
have plans or you have a preliminary plan or something like that, that would be great. Again,
Okay.
we want to create a community park, not just a super park for kids. We want to create a community park.
I think that's what it was, and it ties into what you've done with Roney Park, because that's what we were trying to do, and that was labeled as the gateway to North Grafton was our big tagline. And
Yep.
John LaPointe had gotten some money from Mass Turnpike when they had grants, and that's how we were able to do some of the studies with the landscape architect and to have people come through what you've done exactly at the bridge.
Yeah.
And then have that have some greenway, something connected over to Whitney. And so this would ultimately, those pieces would fit together nicely with what you're thinking about.
Yeah, and and we'd also do we signed an agreement with the town to maintain for 10 years. It'll be maintained past that, but we would sign that agreement again to maintain the park with raised funds, and even at Roney Park, even the lights are being paid for by the funds that we raised. It goes through the town, but we have it in an escrow account that pays all the light bills, which are only $25 a month, which is pretty good.
Well, that is good, but we just had a discussion about the library because the library is paying for their streetlights around their building, and it's like the town should be paying that. And I don't want to upset your apple cart, but the town shouldn't have to pay for those kind of things. I mean, you shouldn't have to pay for those kind of things. The town should be, even if it's $25.
But that was kind of the agreement that we made. So
Okay.
That we put in, I don't know how much money we got a ton of it in there, and it just the bill gets paid every month, and
Okay.
so it doesn't cost the town. That park doesn't cost the town a dime. So.
No, it's really nice, and it's so nice to be able to drive by and actually see into it. You can actually see it.
Oh yeah. No, it's great. It's great, except when the water gets low.
Yeah.
John,
I hear a voice.
it's Bruce.
Okay, Bruce.
Well, I'm here for another subject, but the reference is made to the trust. The trust is interested enough that they're willing to do some of the site survey work. I wasn't aware of the previous landscape work that was done. So Joanna, if you don't mind, just add me to the email loop. We actually went out to bid, finding an engineer and a survey team with a timetable that's less than a couple months is very difficult for this, kind of low end of a project. So we reached out because in exchange for, if we wanted to go to the town and the trust to get the land to put a few units on or to work with anyways, we wanted to be prepared for it. So if we're going to be doing the plot plan and some of the work on it anyways, for us to do Whitney Park as well, it seems to fit, seeing that they're going to be there to begin with. So if you could just keep me in the loop on it. But we're like Ray said, we're incredibly interested in that parcel. I mean, what we can do there is conducive for the neighborhood.
And just to clarify, I hope I didn't misspeak, that the plan that we had done was strictly just for Whitney Park, not for Perry Hill. And I just want to make sure that I wasn't misleading you, that it did not include renovations or any changes to Perry Hill. It was strictly for Whitney Park.
Any information there would be beneficial.
Okay.
So I mean, you got, everybody's been up there. It's just kind of like a big open area where, you know, there's no real delineations onto what property lines end up where the street right of ways are. We can figure out some of those things while we're going through our process with Perry. So
Okay.
it makes sense.
And for Ray, your request would be funding to do a feasibility study. Is that what I'm
It would be,
understanding?
yeah, feasibility study / design.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you want to work on getting numbers, you know, for the RFPs for that.
Yep.
So that I believe our deadline is March. No, is it February?
February 1st. There's all new stuff
that's
right
right.
on the, we just did a new plan, John. It has a whole new application, everything.
You need
It's
a new
all on-
me. That's the problem.
No, we're working on that. No, it's all on the website. If you have trouble finding it, Ray, let me know.
Okay. No, I should have, I shouldn't have a problem getting a proposal by February. That's for sure.
Okay. Any other comments regarding the Whitney Park? Okay. Thank you, Ray. We appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you. And
Looks
Mr.
good.
Gallagher, thank you as always for your kind words.
Thanks,
Thinking
Ray.
outside of the box.
You earned every syllable.
And I'll see everybody at town meeting on Saturday. No?
I'm unable to attend for other reasons, but I was planning on it.
It's okay. So I won't see anybody at the town meeting on Saturday.
Thank
Boy,
you
it
very
got
much
real
for
quiet
stepping
there,
in
didn't
It
it?
sure
and
did.
doing the work.
I think I was muted.
Okay. Well,
I
thank
was
you very
really
much.
muted.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Okay, Bruce. Whoop, Bruce is muted. Come back to us.
I
Bruce,
am
you're
in.
next. I got my agenda, so at least I'm halfway going.
All right, so a quick update on the rental assistance program. Currently, we had, I just got the update about 45 minutes ago from MCO. We have about 16 applicants, 6 have been approved. And we have the CARES Act funds need to be set up in an account at the accountant's office. Chris McGoldrick has been kind of coordinating that. The trust has given him the authority to actually mail out the checks to the landlords. So they're coordinating that now. And of course, there's no accountant in the office there. So there's been some difficulty in getting this thing set up in a timely manner. But that's being worked through now. So after we get the account set up, of course, CARES monies is being used first. We'll start to distribute the funds. Where we're going with the program now is we've been working with MCO, we've been working with a couple other towns, and those towns have been a little bit more successful at reaching people. Our marketing, so to speak, is a little archaic with Facebook and mailers and things of that nature aren't reaching the folks that we really want to get into the program or at least be made aware. So we kind of switched our approach a little bit more snail mail and using route mailers with the Postal Service. So we set up a flyer to handle that and to get in every single door as opposed to just sending mailers to the school or using the town's website, Facebook, and things of that nature. We also developed a list of all of the big landlords in town for, like Riverview Apartments and some of the big cluster sites that we have, and speaking directly to them. And so they can kind of filter it to their tenants that there's a relief program in town. There's also a lot of statewide programs and federal programs that are providing assistance that some people are on, so they don't qualify for ours, because we, in the application process, we don't allow for them to take rental assistance from us if they're getting it from another source. So now that we've gotten a little bit of feedback, it's kind of anecdotal at this point, but we're trying to do a little bit better job of getting into all the homes in town. That's pretty much my update for right now.
How many,
Okay.
how many applicants do we have now?
16.
Was there an anticipation of how many you expected to receive?
No, there was really no benchmark or guideline. We kind of used the housing production plan to get a general feel of, the demographics. Grafton is a fairly affluent community. So it's, and unfortunately, I think the biggest problem we have is our ability to actually connect with people. So if you consider, people in the school system, so we approached the school department and asked them to send out with their email to actual, parents with children in the school system, and then Facebook and things of that nature. But unfortunately, the people that we're trying to connect with are probably not in the same Facebook groups. By and large, municipal government is not very popular in town. It is amongst like 6 of us, or maybe 600 of us rather. But there's 20,000 people living in town. There's thousands of homes that we need to get into. And we just haven't been very successful doing that. So we just kind of re-geared our approach, and we're going to be moving forward. So we're hoping that we get a little bit more participation, and then typically what I guess MCO has found in other communities with these type of programs is, once a few people get on the assistance, then their communities and the people that they tend to hang out with, word of mouth kind of moves it in a direction where you start to accumulate more applicants. We haven't really hit that critical mass yet, though.
Anybody else have any questions or comments for Bruce? If not, I appreciate the report. We appreciate, I know this has been a lot of work to get where you are, and for the committee and for Chris, who's trying to do a lot of it, just pretty new on the job. So thank you.
Good
You're
job.
very
Bruce.
welcome. Thanks for having me. Hopefully the next update will have a little bit more robust kind of program in place. But for right now, it's, we're dealing with a very limited capacity.
It takes time. Thank
It
you.
does. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Joanne, please make sure you keep me on that loop for the landscaping thing, if you would.
Yes, I will. I'll check
Great.
for that stuff. Yep.
That's great. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you very much for doing what you're
All
doing.
right. Thank you. Wayne Parker, no. Treasurer's report, Ken.
Well, as there's been no action, no town meeting, there's no difference between the finances this month as they were last month. So just to recap it, we have about $238,000 that's unspoken for this fiscal year.
We
And
make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Can I
Are you
just
finished
jump
with the
in?
treasurer's report, Ken?
Pardon?
Are you finished with the treasurer's report?
I'm done.
Okay.
In that case, second.
So the
Can I
motion
just,
and a second. Any questions or
Joanne-
comments? We
Joanne-
have a comment from Joanne.
Do all of you get the updates from the Community Preservation Coalition from Stuart? Because like one came out, I think it was yesterday, with some good information about the state match. And he also reported out, I think it's 8 communities have now adopted the CPA with this last election.
Yeah,
And
all
he
of them
talked
that put in for it, that was on the ballot, they all passed it.
Yeah, but he just provided
Right.
some information on the state match. Do you all get those?
Yes, they won't affect this year's distributions, though. They won't affect it till next year.
No, I know. I just wanted to make sure people were getting them because I don't forward them on, but I can also get you on the distribution list.
So I have to admit that I didn't read that email. Did they have any further guidance on the state match amount?
I believe it does. I did not read the whole thing either. but-
You didn't read it either.
It says, and I'll quote it from reading directly. So what about this year's match? We'll know very soon. The Department
Okay.
of Revenue will be releasing information on this year's state match by November 15th. As
Perfect,
soon as
thank
this
you.
data is available, we'll be sending out a separate newsletter.
So that sounds like non-information, right? So, okay, good. Well, we'll wait. I think
So
we're
I'm
in
just
good
going to
shape.
ask my question one more time. Is there anybody on this call who doesn't get that email and wants to be getting it?
I don't get it. I don't get it.
All right, thank you.
How about who reads it when they do get it?
Eventually, I read it. It's
I
got good
read it-
information.
I read it eventually. I haven't read it.
I'm not going to read it, but I would rather get it.
I usually
You
read
need
it at the
email.
town meeting.
I'm going to create quizzes every month. Okay, thank you. Go forward with your vote, John.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second. Any further questions or comment? Hearing none. All those in favor? Sorry. Doesn't work that way anymore. Justin,
Aye.
Sandy's not here. John, aye. Paul's not here. Ken,
Aye.
Kristen,
Aye.
Jen's not here. Jim,
Aye.
the motion, Brooke,
Aye.
the motion carried unanimously. The treasurer's report is accepted. Clerk's report, we have August and September meeting minutes. Are there any questions, comments, changes, additions that
Move to
anyone
accept the minutes.
of both August and
sir.
September? I have a motion to accept the minutes of August, September, seconded by Brooke. Any further discussion? All those in favor, starting with Justin.
Aye.
Sandy's not here. John, aye. Paul's not here. Ken,
Aye.
Kristen,
Aye.
Jen's not here. Jim,
Aye.
Brooke.
Aye.
Declare the motion carried unanimously. Wow, this is going to go fast. Mr. Gallagher. Project updates. Does anybody have anything new on the open space and recreation plan? Is that put to bed yet? Kristen, do you know? Jen's the one that's on that committee.
No, she's
Jen
not-
didn't report anything back about it at our last meeting earlier this week, so I haven't heard anything new for that.
I don't believe it's been released yet. I think it's still in the final review. I'll send Chris McGoldrick an email tomorrow and ask.
Okay. And I have not been getting, and I've requested, so I'm not doing the right way to get the monthly management report so I can see the financials for all our accounts. Joanne, do you have communication with the consultant, accountant, regular communication with that?
Not
Lisa, I
regular,
believe.
but I certainly communicate with them. So I'll follow up with them. You want the management information reports? for
It's
CP.
that's what it was called in the past, called a monthly management report. It was basically, not all the income, because I think one time somebody sent in, like when we do the annual report, it shows every interest payment that we received and all the little fines that people had to pay for paying their taxes late. It basically shows the balance in the accounts and any charges against it, so that and then the balance. So you can see what money is in there, and you can see all the accounts. So that way I can also see if accounts have been opened, because I don't know that all the accounts that were approved at town meeting have been opened, so that we can actually spend money against them.
They've, money's been spent for the Lions Club one.
Right.
Basically, the accountants are to, once town meeting ends, the accountants open up the accounts. Sometimes that gets delayed, but the minute I have to pay a bill, it happens.
That it just, okay.
Yeah.
But if you could ask her, I mean, that's, if
Mhm.
she can call it whatever she wants, but that's
Yep.
what Anita called them, or management reports. And then I'd have to, I think every committee chairman got them, and you had to sign off. And if you found errors, that was the
Right.
time to catch the mistakes. And we would find things that were misposted. I mean, it's not a whole lot of money, and it's not a whole, but I would prefer to have that rather than not.
Okay, I'll find out.
Yep. And then that way we also know if things need to be closed out, if they're not closed out, because they still show up. Institute Woods, is that still, that seems like that was winding up. The trail.
It was. Sandy was following up on that. I will include that in my email to Chris.
Okay. Town records, Paul is on that. And I think that's at this point probably on hold. Historic gravestones, it's on hold. Grafton Common Restoration, I can report a little bit on that. We've been meeting, the district commission has been meeting every week for the last several weeks, trying to figure out what's going to happen. The arborist came back with a plan of trees. There are several trees that are unsafe. One of them, regardless if we redo the walks or not, those trees, once that report came out, had to come down. And the first one was that large oak tree. And Paul Knoyer, who's the head of DPW, said, yes, that's one they've been worried about for quite some time. But this kind of speeds along the process. They don't have to hire somebody. They don't have to have somebody complain. They don't have to have somebody get hurt. They don't have to have the tree fall down like the other one did. I guess it was last spring, that took down the Christmas tree with it. So the arborist we're working with the arborist. We're working with the people that are designing the archways, the lanterns that will go in the archways, the trying to decide about the actual surface and the structure that is there. They can't really date it. Nobody knows for sure if it's 30 years old, 40 years old, how long that's been there. So we had test bores done in several areas on all the paths to determine what was underneath the asphalt. And there's at least a foot of gravel and sand, which is a good base for putting in the brick. And the Graves Engineering felt, because that's a concern for the trees that are near the path. If we have to dig all that up and then install a new base, you're going to disrupt the root systems for these trees even more. And the more you do that, the more likely you're going to cause damage, the more likely you may have the loss of another tree that otherwise would have been healthy. And so we're trying to prevent that. So at this point, we're trying to decide, are we going to do brick, or are we going to do, because no matter what we do, and I think that's the issue, to remove the asphalt, whether we put down asphalt, cement, or brick, you're going to do the same amount of work of disrupting the roots that are on the very, very surface. So because we would use the same base that is there. So we're trying to decide, what if we're trying to do more work with the arborist that once, I think in mid to late November, they're going to come in and do some more work around the testing around the roots to see how if the roots can be selectively trimmed so that they don't have damage. So there's a lot of work that's still yet to be done by these consultants, the arborists, to determine how the project's going to move forward. And it could be that it's stamped concrete to look like brick. It could just be, stamped asphalt. We've got people looking into colored asphalt, the bricks themselves, just to find out cost alternatives to see if one is a lot, because the original plan was for brick. What else?
I have an opinion.
Yep.
The faux bricks they have in the crosswalks look really cheesy.
Well, that's a pressed polymer. It's a plastic that is
Yeah,
melted
well,
on.
anyway, it looks horrible.
Well, it's better than black. It identifies it as a crosswalk. That was
Right,
the,
but compared to
goal.
bricks, it looks like it's
Well, would you rather have yellow stripes? I think that was our option. You know, the
Yeah,
yellow crosswalk. So
anyway, you shouldn't use that as a model.
that's not our model. That's not what we plan to do. So point well taken. I think we've all said the same thing. Because somebody actually said, how much would it cost to put that on? And we're all like, oh, no, I don't think so. So
Good.
they that was shot down very quickly. But we do have another meeting. I believe it's next Monday or Tuesday. They've got to nail it down with the arborist who is going to do this work to determine about the roots that potentially could be in that upper level of the soil where they could potentially have damage to them if in any work that's done on the path. Looks like you want to say something, Ken.
I'm just saying, is if there's already a foot of substrate there, the roots will be below that, and you should be able to put bricks in there without disturbing them any further.
Well, that's the thought. That's the plan. We're just trying to come up with a plan B because what if? Because they want to have not just be stuck and say, okay, well then we can't do this. What do we do? So we're trying to kind of have a plan B, but we're also still working on to ensure that the root system of the trees that are near the path are not going to be disturbed or damaged. And in inspecting the walks, I went out about a month ago because I really hadn't looked at it. It's very hard to determine where the roots are. And there are some roots that they have not caused huge damage to the asphalt, but you can see there's a little rise where some of the roots are. There are two very large trees on the north end of the north-south walk and two large trees on the very southern end of the walk. So near the country store and near what used to be the newsroom are the four large trees that would have the most potential of, since they're so large, the roots would be equally large. So we plan to meet again on Monday or Tuesday with the consultant. Any other questions, comments about the common? But it's, we're moving along. Another piece of that, which we had thought, we'll just go in, we'll dig all up underneath where the path is now, put in the conduit for the lights, because there are going to be lights along the path and at all the entrances now. And to do so would damage way too many trees. And so there will be I don't know which direction they've decided to go, but they're going to go towards the outer perimeter of the common. So they're not disrupting trees, and then kind of go over to connect to where the lights are, rather than digging, because the lighting trenches have to be much deeper than the trench. I don't know if it's 3 feet that you have to trench for the light. So that would create even more problem for the trees that are on the path. So that's been kind of something that we've had to accommodate for the project.
Just to ask John.
Yep.
Other than some potential tree clearing that we may be doing between now and spring next year, are we thinking that spring next year and into summer is when we'll be doing the majority of the work on the common at this point?
The thought is, as soon as the ground is amenable to doing that type of work, so the frost is out, is when they would do the work. And the hope is that it would be done as quickly as possible, and that the common would be ready, for early summer. No guaranteed dates yet. We don't have contracts yet. We're still in that process without a town administrator, assistant town administrator, who's kind of helping us with all the RFPs and all that stuff. I think Andy DeShane has volunteered to try to help get some of that paperwork, contract work pushed through so that we can get started once we have the final report from the arborist, and then select the contractor, and then be able to start whenever the weather allows it in the spring.
I have an update on the weights and measures project. That's the next one.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. I spoke with Don Clark today, and he and I will be coordinating a time for folks to come into the municipal center and actually kind of repopulate the cabinet. The cabinet is in there in the entranceway. The actual weights and measures have been held at the Historical Society Museum. They're going to be bringing them in. He's got a plaque made that indicates that it was the cabinet was restored with CPA funds, and it'll be good to go. And then once the library opens up, it'll be moved there.
If it's not already part of your plan, Joanne, or their plan, so to speak, my suggestion would be to reach out to, at the very least, Jen Paluzzi from the Grafton Common to take some pictures to publicize for our, on behalf of our committee, that was done. This is a result of that, and she can take pictures while she's there. That's my at least suggestion.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We might end up just taking the pictures ourselves and sending them to her, but thank you. I didn't think about that. That's a great idea.
And just to throw in a plug, Don Clark is the retired editor for the Grafton News, so I'm sure he's pretty proficient with the camera, so he can take the pictures while they're there. He did put out an email this week about trying to get some help to do it, and so hopefully that will happen in the next week or so, whenever people can coordinate schedules with Joanne and being able to have the access to the municipal center. The next item is historical resources inventory. That project is completed. I'm not real sure, again, without the town accountant. And I need to follow up with
So Chris McGoldrick was doing a lot of work to put together the documents needed to get the reimbursement money from the state.
okay, so Chris is doing that then.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. And I'll check with Dave Therian, who's the chairman of the Historical Commission, just to make sure he's done whatever he needs to do. Because I think basically she submits the report to Mass Historical, but then I guess the town also has to submit whatever paperwork that Chris is having to do too. It's
And I did speak to Dave about giving us some sort of write-up of the end product. That was a while ago though. So you might want to remind him.
okay. Okay. Lions Club, the engineering work.
Lions Club, I spoke with Dennis Perrin, and he got the architect, excuse me, he got the architect plans for the bathrooms. Also, so you know, Dennis just had a total knee done. So if you've got his email address, you may want to send him an email and wish him to get well. But that's what's going on with the Lions Club.
Okay. And then it says Lions Club recreational property and recreational improvements. Is that technically complete at this point, Joanne?
He told me he was going to send me another report as he got a little bit more mobile. So I think we'll get that hopefully for next month.
Okay. So that one can be closed out soon enough. And then Cisco Homestead, I think it's a weather thing again, waiting.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything new, or nor have I reached out to Ray since our last update that we had. I can do so again before December if you think it's worth it, John, but I'm not. I think we're kind of weather dependent right now, along with COVID stuff.
Yeah, I don't think, and just the fact, with her father dying, that there's much need to bother Ray at this point on that.
That was my thinking so far. So
that. Go ahead, Joanne.
The only thing, we just want to watch the sunset date on that project.
Because I think it's this coming.
Yeah, I think this spring
June.
we would need to extend it. I think.
Okay.
I may be off. I'll look it up.
Okay.
I'll look it
That
up.
makes sense though, because it wasn't this year that we did it. It was the year before. So that this would be 2 years.
And I do remember a 2-year sunset as well myself.
So, okay, Jim.
Motion to adjourn.
If I may, I do have one audible
sorry.
that I would like to get in.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
And I'm just gonna say it's not on the agenda. So if you feel I'm getting too into it that it needs to be cut off for another meeting, we can do that, John. And I won't take offense, but I just wanted to say out loud that I remember a few meetings back, me and Paul at the very least, were talking about possibly a subcommittee in regards to, making the, like outreach toward the town about what we do here. And my current thinking based on an outcome of a select board meeting recently is where they are hiring for a communications director as well as, joint for other types of things instead of hiring for an assistant town administrator. That may make sense to wait until that position is filled and then coordinating with that new hire on what we may or may not be good in terms of doing. So that way there we can get any expertise from that person as well as any insight they may have and make sure that we as a town are aligned in how we think it's best to communicate out. That's my current thinking. I don't know, anything
Good
more than
thinking,
that.
Justin. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I would say because there's no sense in you guys starting to create a will if somebody else is going to do it. So let's see if they even go that direction. If they don't, then we'll fall back on what you and Paul had volunteered to do. But let's just kind of take a wait and see stance on
I
that.
think I mentioned it because I know we were initially talking about bringing it back up to this meeting after the CPC plan was done. I was going to email you to make sure it's on this agenda, but then when I saw the select board outcome, I was like, well, maybe we should just wait.
No, never know these days with what's going on. So that's good thinking. Okay, Jim, I heard a motion to adjourn.
So we can go see if we got a new president.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second, and the answer is no. All those in favor? Let's see. Justin.
Aye.
Sandy is not here. John. Aye. Paul is not here. Ken.
Aye.
Kristen.
Aye.
Chin is not here. Jim.
Aye.
Brooke. We are adjourned 8:01. Not bad.
Thanks, everyone.